Thank you, Noah. Just the perfect beat to get us into a jazzy feeling today. Aloha. Good morning and welcome everyone. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu. We are a beloved community, boldly growing, join me please, with compassion, justice, and joy. Whether in person or online, we are glad you are here. We'd like to welcome our Zoom congregants that we do every morning. And it appears that Andy is joining us. Laurel, good morning. Lorraine, Willow. Who else is up there? Esther, good morning, and thank you for being part of our service this morning. Thank you, Ian. By any chance, are there any new visitors this morning joining us here this morning for the first time? I see a show of hands. Please stand and introduce he or she.
This is Sorry, and she's our new child care person.
Zari. Zari is our new child care person. Welcome to our world. Zari. Anyone like to join in? Introducing yourself is not required, but your presence is definitely welcome. And we are delighted to have our children joining us this morning for our first hymn, as they do every Sunday. My name is Gabe Pioganko, and my pronouns are he, his, and I have the honor of being your worship associate today with our worship leader, Reverend Deborah, for whom I am grateful to be working with. I'm looking forward to your message today. We'd like to extend an aloha to all of you for choosing our congregation to worship here today. And before we begin, we have a special presentation as well.
We have had an extraordinary contributor to our music program for years and years, but she leaves us for months. And after great service and propping me up and teaching me more about music, I am eternally grateful to Beth Byers. Gabe is too, and the choir is too, and we just want to say aloha and please come back soon.
Until we meet again. By Pierre Tirvar de Jardine Agape. We are one. After all, you and I, together we suffer, together exist, and forever we will create, we will recreate each other. Beth, please.
So I wanted to give you a little story of our hymn of the month. And most songs have an interesting backstory. This song was commissioned by Oak Ridge Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Tennessee. And it was commissioned by a congregant who wanted to dedicate a song to her father. And her father was a closeted gay man who had spent his whole life in the closet and only just in his last years came out. And so the original words of this song were, "We will walk together, you and I. We walk together hand in hand. We will walk together, heads held high." And when this song was included in the Sing Out Love, the new virtual hymnal, they have a strict requirement that all language be universally accessible, and so they asked them to change the words. So that's why we sing "We will rise together" instead of "We will walk together." But I thought that today, in honor of Max Brunner, we would sing the first verse as originally intended. So please rise in body or in spirit and join us for our hymn of the month.
Is that visual?
I'm not sure. There's
It's been other Sundays too. Okay.
it's only coming up on the screens, but it's coming up on all of the screens, so it's somewhere between.
Okay.
We will find a way to justice rising like the sun. To justice rising like the sun.
Aloha. Ian. Why are we talking about, the children are leaving? The children. Aloha. Why is connecting so important now? Connecting is our best approach to coping with and transforming our divisive, isolating times. Our interpersonal, our family, our community health depend upon connectivity. Yesterday, many of us were marching, meeting others, connecting. Who was at the march for the Capitol yesterday? Look at this. Who was on Zoom connected? Who was supporting others who were rallying yesterday? We are connecting. And our own Zach Fraser not only herded and cared for others to get them to the demonstration, supported other speakers, but gave the most rousing, human, authentic speech of the day. I am not prejudiced, but I am prideful. Is it any coincidence that our beloved member, Melanie, pulled together a collaborative experience of the film Quantum Convergence, the film Friday night? So we have really been connecting this week, folks. 40 or 50 of us were here. Was it about 50? Over 50. And about a quarter to a third were people from this church sitting side by side with Mindful Hawaii, and some of the people are both, like Melanie. And after this important film, we had a very interactive discussion led by Dr. Medgar Reed. Medgar's a retired professional hospital chaplain, Marine veteran, and spiritual care educator and speaker whose work blends chaplaincy, metaphysics, and quantum consciousness. Along with Marie, Cynthia, Tom Lynch, and me, Medgar is on the board of the Interfaith Alliance Alliance Hawaii, 4 UUs on the board connecting with other faith leaders. And I have just found out from Melanie that those attending the film on Friday night gave donations. And guess what Mindful Hawaii has decided to do with the donations? Give them to us. Thank you, Melanie. The film Quantum Convergence weaves interviews with physicists, philosophers, and spiritual teachers to argue that quantum phenomena suggest a universe in which mind and matter are deeply interwoven. There is a primacy of consciousness, not matter. That separateness between us is an illusion. Science and spirituality may be converging on a single, unique, unified picture of reality. The film emphasizes interconnectedness and suggests that a post-materialistic worldview could reshape ethics, technology, and humanity's sense of purpose. All of this is about connectedness. I believe that a part of the impact of the film and the ideas in this film are due to the fact that in our culture, we trust scientists to be right. We value artists, but for the experience of their art, not because we believe they have a monopoly on factual understanding of the universe. The consideration of quantum convergence findings and search is exciting and vital. And I find it ironic that this circle of advanced scientists are now pointing to the value and reality of consciousness and intuition. Those discoveries rivet them and compel us, that scientists would tell us that we are all connected and part of a unified consciousness that we can perceive if we can overcome the illusion of separateness is compelling and exciting. We have seen this before in art. How many of you saw the play or read it, Our Town? Do you remember in the play, George's younger sister, George the hero, the younger sister Rebecca, who I played in community theater when I was about 10, describes with loving wonder the address on an envelope. The letter is addressed to Jane Crofit, the Crofit Farm, Grover's Corners, Sultan County, New Hampshire, United States of America, continent of North America, Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God. This is the first time I got to read that since I was 11. Later in the play, the denouement, Emily Webb, the heroine, expresses, after viewing from above, the depth of connectedness of her community from death, turns to the stage manager and asks, do any human beings ever realize life while they live it, every minute? The stage manager responds that, no, saints and poets, maybe they do some. I think now some scientists are seeing this. Ian? So why are we talking about these old literary masters instead of the scientists or political speculators of today? Is it because I was a literature major in college and I'm still constantly reading fiction? True, but that's not the reason. The 3 artists, poets, and novelists who we will reflect on today are among those who have seen and felt and expressed the vibrancy of living when we realize our connectedness, when we engage in constant interaction with contraries, diversity in ourselves, each other, and our world. These artists created to reveal divine connections between us and amongst us. They noticed that we are threatened for our very existence by a toxic, spreading divisiveness that corrodes lives, families, communities, nations, and our world. This illusion of separateness that the scientists see In different ways, these artists each expressed the need to connect, to overcome division. They express the beauty of connecting contraries. They point to connection at every level, inside us, outside us, all around enlivening the world, and to the negative effects of on self and other of divisiveness. But also, quite personally, the word and concept of divisiveness and its importance was thrust on me very early. I had a very thoughtful mother, and when I was about 10, she told me the one true evil in the universe is divisiveness. And I thought, that's ridiculous. How could one thing be responsible for all the evils, and how in the world would it be my mother who knows it? And I thought about it more. Every evil I could think of boiled down to divisiveness if I thought hard enough about it. Murder, you separate the other from life. You use your power to separate yourself from them. Even at the insult level, it's the same. The insult is a way of dividing, discriminating. Would you try it for a moment? Would you think of an evil? See if you can think of an evil that is not related to divisiveness at its core. If you come up with one, please remember it and share it with me later. Overcoming divisiveness is what drew my mother to Unitarianism when she landed on the East Coast from her North Dakota Lutheran Trinitarian roots. My father, coming from a Brooklyn family who had adopted a deaf black orphan and feeling the injustices closely, also found Unitarianism and found ways to support civil rights and opportunities in his community. So I was born into a Unitarian family, but my mother, who was so into unity, was very annoyed when the Universalists joined the Unitarians. Weeks before, she had taken delivery of a brand new car, a baby blue Dodge Dart. It was a terrible car. The door handle fell off. It stalled. The fins were ugly. The baby blue was embarrassing for 4 kids seeking to be cool. So we kids rebranded it by changing the first letter of DART and singing songs about it. But there was one good thing. This new car, coincidentally, came with a license plate, AUA 100. Mother marveled that the American Unitarian Association had found its way to her car. She loved that license. It raised her Unitarianism to a new level. We felt so Unitarian driving around in it. She really felt proud to be a Unitarian even as she drove that horrible car. But with the demise of the AUA and the ascension of the UUA, there was nothing good about the car. And Unitarian Universalists. Unitarianism is based on one God, one Spirit, one, the antithesis of divisiveness. Our very name, Unitarianism, expresses us, united, a unit. And then we merged with the Universalists. Could there be anything less divisive than Universalism? If divisiveness is evil, we are about uniting, and at base we are good. Very good with our double U-ness. So we're talking today about the concept of only connect, because divisiveness is renting apart our country, our norms, our people, our lives. This divisiveness threatens us on many levels. Divisiveness threatens not only ideologies, parties, religions, and nations, but we can lose full integration within our own selves. We may become isolated in our human connections with others. Wonder and connection with our natural universe could weaken. Our spiritual connection with the universe may go dormant. Ian? So why do these artists from long ago all have this need, this energy to point to connection as the only thing we need to do? We're going to explore overcoming divisiveness by connecting in the ways that Blake and Yeats and Forster envisioned. But first, let me clarify that one word, in. When we say only, what does it mean? Only connect. Only means connect most urgently. Only in this sense means connect with what's most essential. Only means connect above all else. Above all else, connect. Only means if only we can connect, then we can unite, then we can overcome divisiveness that rots our world. In. May considering the works of these three masters give depth to our understanding of connecting. May they evoke the timeless human need to connect and the joy of connecting, the richness of connecting, the spirituality of connecting. It is for this that we come to worship today. And now we will sing the hymn, Gather the Spirit.
This church is our place to experience the depth of life. This book stands for the lives we share within our beloved community. Some of us, our joys and concerns are in this book. Others see this book and know that they can share their joys and concerns freely when they gather together after the church, share their thoughts with Reverend Deborah, perhaps with the care team. And now you can share your joys and concerns and learn of the care of others in our community newsletter and website. This book stands for all the ways we may share our cares here. And let's see what's recorded in our book of life. There are no concerns today recorded in the book of life. Thank you, Ramona. But please take a moment, close your eyes if you will, and think about what concerns you. How may you share your concerns to lighten your load or deepen your connections with this beautiful community? Let's see the joys that are shared. Recorded, it says at least 30 UUs were at the rally protest yesterday, as Deborah mentioned. Go UUs, thank you. The energy was there. And it also said here that Zach Frazier spoke passionately from the podium. Thank you, Zach. Your family and we're anxious to hear more of what you have to share in the future. So again, please take a moment to recall your joys. How may sharing your joys inspire wider happiness with this beloved community? The bitterness and the sweetness, the concerns and the joys of life remind us to live these days together. The brave adventure and the holy understanding we share here in this journey echoes today as they always do in the book of life and in the hearts we each bring to share here today. And may it always be so. In the midst of so much suffering in our world, we are fortunate to be able to provide some relief to people and cause. Being the 5th Sunday of the month, it is a privilege to give our whole offering today to our own cause, the emergency fund. And folks, it is really important to build our emergency fund, as these funds help our own members when dealing with crises of their own. So when the calabash comes by, please give. Use the QR code on the screen or text the church to share the plate, fund emergencies or your pledge, or simply send a check. Let us give freely now and receive with great gratitude. within these walls and without. Mahalo.
Ian? Some of us see more head than heart. Some say Unitarians are the head and Universalists are the heart. We know we are more pleasing to others if our head and our heart guide each other, creating an interesting, smart, lively, balanced persona. Yet some of us get stuck some of the time. And these artists show in their work the need for dynamic interaction, connectedness of heart and head. Ian? So this is my slide of the connections, and I needed to put some symbol in the middle to stand for you or me. And all the symbols I found online were, looked like Oscar statues, so I decided that we would be the baby. So we ourselves interact and connect with our heart and our brain, and we bring it together in us. And the more that we can reach out to our community, the people around us, and you can see our Hope for Us crowd in the middle. Then I added some people because we would like to have a wider group to relate to. As we relate to these other people, our lives grow in richness. We grow more valuable to our families. And then we connect with others. The more differences, the more richness. Then connecting with the natural world, again, enlarges ourself and our relations with others. And you've been in nature and you're quiet in nature and you're there and something is between you and nature. And that thing between you and nature is this connectedness that they're talking about, and it relates to that single consciousness the physicists are talking about. And that relation with the natural world and our communities and integration of ourselves leave us more capable to feel the relationship with the cosmos, the universe. All of this enlarges ourselves, our relations with others, the health of the community, and the natural world itself. Only connect is Forster's phrase, E.M. Forster, to indicate that in all these realms, the important action is to connect, and the desirable condition of being is to be connected. 250 years ago, William Blake, inspired by Emanuel Swedenborg, a scientist and theologian, explored the correspondence principle. That principle is that everything we see in real life corresponds and is an echo of parallel elements in the divine world. Swedenborg was pointing to that convergent consciousness the physicists perceive. Blake's works continuously show connections between contraries and the energy, beauty, and truth that emerge from that interaction and the openness it gives us to connect with that larger ground of being. 150 years ago, William Butler Yeats, also inspired by Emanuel Swedenborg, was gripped by the experiencing of connections, seemingly disparate elements, the power of relation between contraries to move us to deeper consciousness. 120 years ago, E.M. Forster used contrasting elements, classes, religions, cultures, to find depth beyond the surface. Let's talk about Forster first. Ian? How many of you read or saw Howard's End? Passage to India, A Room with a View. Forster said of his works, "There is more in a novel than time or people or logic or any of their derivatives, more even than fate. And by more, I mean something that cuts across them like a bar of light, that is intimately connected with them at one place and patiently illumines all their problems. At another place, shoots over or through them as if they did not exist. This is that interaction that he's describing of connecting with disparate elements that gives us access to what is deeper and what unites us. It is in Howard's End that Forster writes the thoughts of his woman hero, Margaret, inventing the phrase, "Only connect," that is the title of our service today. The short quote is, "Only connect the prose, the brain, and the passion, the heart, and both will be exalted, and human love will be seen at its height. Live in fragments no longer." Gabe will join me in reading the context for that quote. Margaret greeted her lord with peculiar tenderness on the morrow. Mature as he was, she might not yet be able to help him to the building of the rainbow bridge that should connect the prose in us with passion. Without it, we are meaningless fragments, half motes, half beasts, unconnected arches that have never joined into a man. With the rainbow bridge, love is born and alights on the highest curve, glowing against the gray sober against the fire. Happy the man who sees from either aspect the glory of these outspread wings. The roads of his soul lie clear, and he and his friends shall find easy going.
It was hard going in the roads of Mr. Wilcox's soul. From boyhood, he had neglected them. I'm not a fellow who bothers about my own inside. Outwardly, he was cheerful, reliable, and brave, but within, all had reverted to chaos, rule, so far as it was ruled at all by an incomplete asceticism. Whether as a boy, husband, or widower, he had always the sneaking belief that bodily passion is bad. A belief that it is desirable only when held passionately. Religion had confirmed him. The words that were read aloud on Sunday to him and to other respectable men were the words that had once kindled the soul of St. Catherine and St. Francis into a white-hot hatred of the carnal. He could not be as the saints and love the infinite with a seraphic adore, but he could be a little ashamed of a loving wife. He loved and feared loving. And it was here that Margaret hoped to help him.
In Margaret's thoughts, it did not seem so difficult. She need trouble him with no gift of her own. She would only point out the salvation that was latent in his soul, in the soul of every man. Only connect, that was the whole of her sermon. Only connect the prose and the passion, and both will be exalted, and human love will be seen at its height. Live in fragments no longer. Only connect, and the beast and the monk, robbed of the isolation that is life to either, will die. Nor was the message difficult to give. It did not take the form of a good talking. By quiet indications, the rainbow bridge would be built and span their lives with beauty. Ian. We'll move on to Yeats. In the 1920s, Yeats was touring Europe and the United States, reading his poetry, and he went and spoke in Portland, Oregon, and after the reading, attended by a Japanese poet named Yunzo Sato. He was contacted by Sato, who asked if he could meet with Yeats, and Yeats allowed him to come to his hotel. When Sato arrived, he presented Yeats with an embroidered silk bundle, which, when opened, revealed a stunning, mirror-polished 500-year-old sword, a family heirloom, because Sato was profoundly impressed by Yeats' poetry and his lecture and wished to honor him in the highest way he knew. And with that object, the embodied samurai soul, high culture, and artistic tradition. Yeats, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the gift, tried to refuse it, but Sato had brought it from Japan and was determined to gift it to Yeats. The blade and its embroidered wrapping entered Yeats as a meditation on the tension between the eternal sword and the earthly silk. Over the years, he included reference to this sword and silk in several poems. In 1933, he included it in this poem, Dialogue on Self and Soul. The contrast in it is deliberate. The steel endures perfectly. The silk endures imperfectly, but meaningfully. Yeats is drawn to the silk as much as to the blade. It represents lived experience, passion, and beauty that time degrades but cannot fully destroy. In the poem's dialogue, the soul urges the self toward spiritual transcendence and escape from the cycle of birth and death. The self refuses, championing embodied life. The sword and its wrapping became Yeats' emblem for why he sides with the self. Because even the tattered beauty can still protect and adorn, making mortal existence worth affirming. Again, we see an artist relating contrary elements, silk and sword, soul and self, and in their relation, in their connection, finds a depth of consciousness. In this, I am soul, and Abe is self. My soul, I summon to the winding ancient stair, set all your mind upon the steep ascent, upon the broken, crumbling battlement, upon the breathless starlit air, upon the star that marks the hidden pole. Fix every wandering thought upon that quarter where all thought is done. Who can distinguish darkness from the soul?
Liam? Testing. Myself. The consecrated blade upon my knees is Sato's ancient blade, still as it was, still razor keen, still like a looking glass unspotted by the centuries, that flowering, silkly, old embroidery torn from some court lady's dress, and round the wooden scabbard bound and wound, can, tarot, still protect, faded adorn.
My soul, why would the imagination of a man long past his prime remember things that are emblematic of love and war? Think of ancestral night that can, but if the imagination scorn the earth and intellect is wandering to this and that and t'other thing, deliver from the crime of death and birth.
Myself, Monteshigi, third of his family, fashioned it 500 years ago. About it lie flowers, whom I know, not what embroidered, hearts purple, and all these I set, for emblems of the days against the power, emblematical of the night, and claim as the soldiers write a charter to commit the crime once more.
My soul, such fullness in that quarter overflows and falls into the basin of the mind, that man is stricken deaf and dumb and blind if intellect no longer knows. It is from aught or knower from the known, that is to say, ascends to heaven. Only the dead can be forgiven, but when I think of that, my tongue's a stone.
Myself, a living man is blind and drinks his drop. What matter if he decides? What matter if the bitches are impure? What matter if I live in all once more, endure the toil of growing up, the ignominy of boyhood, the distress of boyhood changing into a man, the unfinished man and his pain brought face to face with his own clumsiness, the finished man among his enemies. How in the name of heaven can he escape that defiling and disfigured shape, the mirror of malicious eyes, cast upon his eyes until at last he thinks that shape must be his shape? And what the good of an escape in order to find him in the wintry blast? I am content to live it all again, and yet again, if it be life to pitch into the frog spawn of a blind man's ditch, a blind man's battering blind man, or unto the most dishonoured ditch of all, the folly that man does or must suffer if it woes a proud woman, not kindred of his soul. I am content to follow to its source every event in action or in thought, measure the lot, forgive myself the lot, when such as I cast out remorse, so great a sweetness flows into the breast. We must laugh, we must sing, we must bless by everything. Everything we look upon is blessed.
And now we come to William Blake. I must confess a partiality to Blake. My college thesis was on the influence of theology of Emanuel Swedenborg on the poetry and engravings of William Blake. And I named our youngest daughter Blake. And today is my youngest daughter's 40th birthday, and she is in Paris celebrating with her Italian husband at a cabaret that I paid for right now. And Blake is an extraordinary woman. She went to Uganda after high school before college and worked with nonprofits. She went to college in England. She now works developing with the legislature funding for early childhood education and careers for people in neighborhoods to become certified family educators and leaders. And she brought in over $4 million in the last 2 years to this whole neighborhood. So I wanted to just ask everyone for a moment to just wish happy birthday to my beloved daughter, Blake. I know she's getting it, even in Paris, with the champagne and everything. So, why are we talking about Blake other than those two reasons? The juxtapositions, the contraries that Blake created before Yeats and before Forster grabbed me, I could feel the space between two dialoguing parts, the connection as a holy place. To me, the raising of the relation between two ideas or two elements ignites a spark of energy, of freedom, of imagination, the personal experience of jostling of the two disparate parts. I remember as a kid when I first was in art lessons at 5 or 6 years old, and I was really doing it because they gave you a fudgesicle after the class. But we sat and they would let us choose whatever we wanted to do with still life. And I just sat and pondered the little ceramic ducky. Something happened between me and the duck that was ineffable. And that experience stuck with me this whole time. And I found when there are two things, it's between the two things that you find something deep and sublime. For Blake, key comparisons he drew were Eros and Agape, forms of love. For Yeats, it was soul and self and self-absorbed. For Forster, prose, rationality and feeling, passion. All of this creates an opening for personal experience of death. The interaction between two unlike parts leads to what Forster called the rainbow bridge. Our last reading is short, The Clod and the Pebble, and you see it on the screen. This is Blake's own engraving, and he was noted for being the first poet to create engravings and to color them. I only found out later he did not color them, his wife Catherine did. So the poem is up there, and to the side of it are sheep and bulls. Again, the contrast. I believe intermixing of elements such as the clod of clay that weathers the steps of others, which represents Agape's selfless love, and the pebble that stands strong against the waters and represents Eros, self-love. I believe that intermixing brings a dynamic and a rich love, I will be the clod, and Gabe will be the pebble. Love seeketh not itself to please, nor for itself hath any care, but for another gives its ease, and builds a heaven in hell's despair. So sung a little clod of clay, trodden with the cattle's feet.
But a pebble of the brook warble outlays lecherous meat. Love seeketh only self to please, to bind another to its delight, joys in another loss of ease, and built a hell in heaven's despite.
Ian? These are the connections the artists evoke, experiencing and guiding our hearts and brains to interact for the healthiest, happiest relationship with self and others. Connecting others openly, curiously, with constant freshness. Experiencing the natural world in wholesome, delightful ways. All this enabling us to connect with our cosmos, our universe, our world, our larger spiritual life. As we face challenges, troubles, dangers, we will have our best experience if we can only connect. Please join us in Wake Now My Senses.
Wake now, my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end.
Thank you. Now we'll share some community news events. And folks, immediately after the service, we hope you will join us for a chat and enjoy refreshments in the gallery. Today from 11:30 to 12:30, our treasurer, Dave Hafner, will present our budget in the sanctuary. Please join us. If you have not already RSVP, be sure to sign up today with Catherine Graham and Mary McCain to our Magic of Generosity Pledge Dinner this coming Saturday, April 4th from 4:30 to 7 p.m. We will have a magician. In a magic show, it may appear that something comes from nowhere, but we know the truth. The real magic isn't in the hat. When each of us gives what we can, something wonderful appears. A community that cares, grows, and thrives together. And that is the real magic. Marie, are you available? Well, this week our offering went to the emergency fund. Next month and all of next month, we'll be sharing our pledges with Auntie Blanche. All of you are familiar with Auntie Blanche. They have discovered some crisis at their sanctuary. and they're asking for food donation. Of course, money is always accepted. As you enter the sanctuary, there's a box there for the remaining of the month. If you can bring a canned good or two to share with this community. And that will be truly appreciated, and Auntie Blanche and her community will appreciate you as well. Next week's service is entitled A Flower Communion Service, Springtime Charm and Fierce Resistance, with our own Reverend Deborah Bond Hobson, and we hope you will join us next week as well. And now for extinguishing the chalice, Deborah.
Would you all join me? As we extinguish our chalice, we remember our chalice stands for us, for our desire for enlightenment, constantly curious, uplifted by love. Our chalice stands for us, beckoning others to rely on us. We stand ready to deliver fairness, respect, and love. May it be so.
And now as we sing our song of peace, let us form a circle, connect with our neighbors as you wish. Seated or standing, let's lift our voices for a song of peace. Hawaii.